Hey everybody and welcome to a new video. As you have probably gathered from the title, this one is going to be a little bit different because there is something that I have been struggling with lately that I very much would like to talk about. And yeah, you can probably again guess it from the title, and also I'm not one to make a very lengthy introduction before I actually come to the point, but basically what I'm going to talk about is that I don't always feel like I fit in within the BookTube community, and I don't always feel like I belong, which might sound a bit weird or a bit strange, I don't know, but it is something that I've been struggling with at least for the past 6 months or so, and I think it especially now is more prominent in my life because of the pandemic. Now that BookTube is such a big part of my life, I feel that I'm also struggling more with it, and yeah, I want to talk about it in this video. First of all, because I just want to get it off my mind. I want to talk about it. I know that usually really helps when I'm struggling with something, but also because I think that there are a lot of people who also struggle with this feeling. I think I'm not the only one who feels like this sometimes, and of course I can only talk from my own experiences and my own feelings, but I just have a feeling that there are many more people who feel like this even if you don't expect it. So maybe I should first of all just explain what I mean with this feeling and this struggle, this feeling of that you don't belong really. To summarize it, I often feel like everybody in the BookTube community is so amazing, so creative, so good with making videos, and I am just not. I feel like I'm somehow lesser than other booktubers, that I'm somehow less interesting, less creative, whatever. I feel like I'm inferior and boring and that I'm invisible and nobody is interested in me. I just feel like I don't truly belong, and then I also have the feeling like everybody else does belong except for me, which I know is probably not true, but that is how I feel. And you know, I'm not somebody who can make their videos very aesthetically pleasing. I'm not somebody who's very funny. I feel like there's nothing about me that stands out, that makes me special within the BookTube community, and I feel like very often you do need something to stand out. At least that's not a logical feeling. That's not, I think, something that reflects reality. But that's something that I sometimes feel, that I'm not special, that I don't have anything that makes me stand out. And if you don't stand out, then you just don't have anything to offer somehow. And again, I know that feelings don't always reflect reality. I know that feelings aren't always logical. But one thing that is a fact, however, and that does make me sad sometimes, is that my views on this channel have been so bad for at least the past 6 months. The weird thing is that my subscriber count is actually pretty good, but my views are just so bad, and like, yeah, it is not something that is very uplifting. If you are a content creator, you can probably relate to that. If you work very hard for things and you work for videos and you try your best, and then it feels like nobody is interested. And I know that's not true. I know I'm still very lucky. I still get a lot of amazing comments and amazing views, and I don't want to sound ungrateful. I don't want this video to be me all complaining how I don't get enough attention or anything. That is not what I'm going for. It is more like the feeling when you work on something and you have really high hopes for it. And I know that you shouldn't have hopes that are too high when you put something on the internet, because you're not promised views, you're not promised engagement and subscribers. But still, it does not feel nice when you work for something and it just does not deliver. It feels like it really enforces the feeling of being a lesser booktuber. It really sort of enforces the feeling that I'm not special to watch, that I'm not interesting to watch, that I don't have anything to say. Again, I know this is all feeling and not necessarily reality. I cannot stress that enough. It's not, again, I find it very hard to make this video because I don't want to sound like I'm just complaining and crying for attention. That is not it at all. I just simply I'm trying to describe the feeling because I do feel down about it sometimes, and actually more often than I would like to admit. I just feel then it makes me feel so invisible, and like what I'm doing doesn't matter, doesn't make any difference or something. And it also can make me feel very lonely at times, because the idea that I get in my head is that I'm the only one who feels like this, and that everybody else is doing amazing. They're crushing the BookTube game. They're making amazing content that gets watched a lot, and then I'm over here just being nothing special. And again, this is not an attack on other people, like definitely not. This is not an attack on the BookTube community or other people. On the contrary, I think that so many booktubers are amazing people, and I can so very much understand why so many people want to watch them and just watch videos in general. Like, nothing, it's very hard to explain this without sounding like I'm criticizing people. That's really not what I want to do here. The feeling that I have is that I think that all the other people, all the other booktubers are so amazing, and I want to be that amazing as well, but I feel like I am not, and I cannot be amazing like that, if that makes sense. I hope that sort of explains what I'm meaning, what I'm trying to say here. And also I know that I'm so lucky and so privileged in so many aspects, and that I'm so grateful for all the support that I've ever gotten on this channel, on every single video. Like, I know how lucky I am. It's, again, I'm not saying this that you feel sorry for me. I'm not saying this to complain. I'm mostly saying this because I think that a lot of people feel that way. I think many more people feel this way than you would expect. And by saying this, I want to make it more of a relevant topic, more of something that people can talk about, if that makes sense. And I don't know if this video is going to achieve that. I don't know if it's going to maybe help people in some aspect or another, but that is, yeah, something that I hope it might do. So for me, again, I can only speak from my own experience. I cannot speak for anybody else. Like, I can only speak from what I feel. But yeah, for me, feeling left out, feeling lesser, feeling inferior is something that has been a struggle in my life for a very, very long time. I've struggled a lot with social anxiety. I've, like, in my worst years, it was very, very lonely. I just, yeah, it is not a very nice thing that I don't really like to talk about all that often, but for this video, I think it should be something that I do talk about. There have been times in my life where I felt very lonely, very left out, and I couldn't really explain it. I couldn't understand why I was somehow not as interesting as other people. I couldn't understand why I did not fit in. I tried to fit in, but I am very bad at pretending. Even though I tried, I could never do it convincingly, and I mean, that is probably a good thing because you should never ever pretend. I'm talking about this because I want to explain that this is something that is a very sensitive topic for me, and something that, yeah, resurfaces a lot for me. Maybe at some point I will do an entire video about my mental health journey and things like that, but for now, yeah, I think that sort of is what I'm trying to talk about. Like, I very often feel left out, I feel lesser, I feel somehow like I don't belong. And first of all, like, when I joined BookTube, that was definitely a place where I did not have that feeling. It took me quite some time to sort of like discover myself and who I am, and BookTube was a very major part in that. And it has helped me so much in so many different ways, but right now, as I mentioned before, especially in the last couple of months, this feeling that I've had so often in my life is coming back. And yeah, I don't like it. And that is basically why I'm also making this video, because I don't like that feeling, and I've learned from the past that it really helps me to talk about it and to, yeah, speak my mind, to explain what I'm feeling and why I'm feeling it. And I think a lot of it is because of the group dynamic that is very much a thing on BookTube, which again is not like, I can completely understand why that is a thing, but me personally, I am very bad with groups. Over the years, I've learned to become much better with social interactions when it's one-on-one, but with groups, I still very much struggle. And since BookTube is, of course, basically a giant group, that is why it is a struggle for me. Group dynamics are just not my thing. It's very hard for me to feel comfortable in a group, especially because, again, as I've already said like 5 times now, because I feel like everybody is very amazing, creative, good at what they do, except for me. And yeah, it is not a very nice feeling to have. And again, I think I've talked enough about myself now, but yeah, the reason that I'm making this video is because I'm suspecting that so many people feel like this, maybe not all the time, but at least at times. And I think people from all different sizes when it comes to channels feel like that. I think it is very easy to fall into the trap of seeing one of your favorite content creators who is very big and is doing so well, and to think that they're doing amazing and everything they do goes amazingly, but you don't know them, you don't know their experiences, and you don't know what goes on behind the scenes. It is very easy to fall into the trap, and I know I do it way too often, and even get jealous at times, which I don't think is a good thing, but it's a human feeling that sometimes happens. Like, sometimes I feel jealous of bigger content creators, which is, yeah, again, I don't think it's not something that I want to feel like, but I think it happens, and I think it happens for a lot of people. And I think it happens so much more than most people would assume. And again, I keep saying I feel, I think, because that is, I can only talk about what I feel and what I think, but it might be something that more people feel and think. And I hope that this video and this talking about it might help something with that it might help some other people to talk about it, to discuss this. And again, this is really not something, this is not to criticize the BookTube community, because I think things like this, feelings like these, happen in all sorts of communities and all sorts of groups. It is just a natural way of life, I think. For some people, it is just something that happens because it is impossible to become friends with everybody. It is impossible to compare yourself to everybody because everybody is good at something else. Everybody has different things. And I know all of this logically, but that does not always mean that I also feel like that mentally. I guess that is sort of the gist of what I'm trying to say, that even though I can very much look at it from a more, you know, logical point of view, that doesn't always resonate with how I feel mentally, how I feel, because sometimes it can make me feel really down. And again, as I also mentioned in the beginning, I think the feeling is so much stronger now because of the pandemic. Like, first of all, because of the pandemic, negative feelings tend to be much stronger anyways with a lot of people, which is extremely understandable. But also because of the pandemic, BookTube is one of the biggest parts of my life right now, because so many other parts of my life have just disappeared. They're not possible anymore. But BookTube is one of the few things that has gone on relatively unchanged, because, you know, I can still make videos, I can still read. That is something that has not been affected. But that is also a reason why it has become such a bigger part in my life, and why these insecurities and these feelings are popping up again, which is not nice. It is not a nice feeling. It can feel very lonely. I can feel very lonely when I feel like this at times. But I think it is time to open up about that, and I think it is time to make this something that people talk about, because things aren't always nice. Not in the BookTube community, not in any community. Sometimes you feel down, sometimes you struggle with things, and I think, yeah, that even when it's related to a community that is usually a source of a lot of happiness for me, it's still there. The feelings are still there, the struggles are still there, and they suck. These feelings and these struggles, they suck. It is not a nice feeling at all. It's quite a horrible feeling. But maybe together we can make it a bit less of a horrible feeling. If, yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if people are going to resonate with this. Maybe this is something that is very much a me problem, something that is mostly, yeah, something I struggle with. But maybe it is not. And for this, yeah, if you want to talk about it, if you don't have to, like if you have these feelings but you're not comfortable with talking about it, then you really don't have to. But if you do feel like opening up, then I would very much encourage to do so in the comments, because I think it might be a good example to show people that it happens to a lot of people, and that it happens to people with big channels and small channels and people from different backgrounds, and that it happens. Mental health is a very complex thing, and it is a very personal thing. But if there's one thing I've learned from all my years of mental health struggles, and also from my therapy group, because I was in therapy for like 3 years and I was in a therapy group, which is where I definitely learned to talk about these things. But anyway, if there's something that I learned from all that, is that even though you feel like you're alone in something, most of the time you are definitely not. There are people who can relate, there are people who understand, but sometimes it's a bit hard to find those people. And maybe this video can be a bit of, yeah, a support in that, to find those people. And I think that is very much the message of this video, and that is very much what I wanted to say in this video. I feel like I've rambled a lot. I feel like I've repeated myself a lot, but yeah, this is very personal, and this is very much me just sort of, yeah, showing myself and talking about my true feelings on this subject. And I think that is a good thing, and I think that even if nobody can relate to this, which I don't think that is the case, but even if that's true, and even if nobody wants to watch this video, it still helps me to talk about it. So I think it is a very good thing that I've done that. And now I don't really know how I should end this video, because it is not your usual bookish video, so it feels very weird to say like subscribe, like, leave a comment, which makes it a bit awkward. But I will encourage you to comment mostly about your experiences, and maybe you can find somebody to talk about. And I will definitely try my best to talk to all of you who want to talk about it. And I really truly hope that this video might have helped you in one way or another. I really do hope that. And then hopefully I will see you again very soon in my next video. And until then, bye.